Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different from my channel, but something that a lot of other booktubers have done, and I'm going to do the Booktube Newbie Tag. Today is October 28th. I posted my very first video on September 28th, so today is my 1 month anniversary on Booktube, and I've already lasted a lot longer than I thought I was going to. So I thought I would celebrate by doing the Newbie Tag. So let's just smash right into these. I've got my little notepad, so when I'm constantly looking off screen, this is what I'm looking at. So the first question is, why did you start this channel? Why did I start Booktube? The answer I give everyone at work and my friends who ask me why I'm doing this, I went temporarily insane and have just decided to go with it. But no, I first discovered Booktube probably about this time last year. And I went from almost never watching YouTube to suddenly having tens, if not 100+ channels I'm subscribed to, predominantly all booktubers. And it just always, everyone looks like they're always having fun. Everyone's so enthusiastic on here, and everyone seems so really friendly. I think this is possibly one of the friendliest corners of the internet, or at least from what I've seen of it. And it just looked like a lot of fun, and the more and more I watched, the more I was like, you know what, I could probably do that. Oh, you know what, let's just give it a shot. And around about a month ago, a little over a month ago, I was starting to think like, yeah, no, you know what, Amy, let's just F it, we're gonna sit down and do this. The Hobb book tag came out. Robin Hobb. She's actually hidden behind my Robert Jordans for the most part, and there's some up on the top shelf. But she is my favourite author. So when a book tag pretty much dedicated to Robin Hobb came out, I was like, well, you know what? Internet world, I can take a hint. So I just took the plunge and did it. I'm having a lot of fun so far, still. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far. So I'm quite glad I did. So the second question is, what's something fun, new, unique that you can bring to Booktube? I actually, a little while ago, I do remember watching someone else do, I can't even remember who, just terrible, but I did watch a Booktuber who did this, and she referred to this question as an interview question. And it is very much like, what would you bring to this role? When I don't know. I'm so terrible at selling myself. So yeah, I don't think I'm going to bring anything new or unique. But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing. I don't think every channel has to be vastly different. I'm not necessarily going to talk about all the same books as everyone else. But then Booktube would be really, really boring if every YouTuber spoke about the same books all the time, especially at the same time. What I'm gonna bring to us is you're gonna get my enthusiasm, hopefully my passion about books. You're gonna get a lot of incoherency from me. I'm gonna get tongue-tied quite a bit. I'm gonna say a lot the first few while. I think I'm getting a little bit better at that already though, so you never know. But yeah, you're just gonna get me having a lot of fun rambling. I specifically chose the channel name Amy's Rambles because I will ramble on about something, especially if I really, really enjoy it. And if I don't enjoy it, I'm going to ramble on about trying to find good things about it. It's definitely going to be, for the most part, a very positive channel. If I don't really like a book, I'll probably mention it in my weekly wrap-up, but I'm not going to do a specific book review for it. I don't want to do any videos that are basically like, this is terrible and you should not read this. If I don't like it, I'm not going to promote it. I'm not going to tell you it's terrible, because just because I don't like something doesn't mean it's not going to work for someone else. That makes sense? Yeah? So yeah, what you're going to get from me is a whole bunch of rambles, hopefully a fair variety of videos. I don't do weekly vlogs, but I do a weekly wrap-up on a Friday. I really enjoy those. They're just a really nice way for me to be like, oh, this is how my reading week has been, and it lets you guys know what I'm reading, what I'm thinking about reading, and as you'll see from this week's weekly wrap up on Friday, what I think I'm going to read doesn't necessarily become what I read. You're not really going to get any TBR videos from me, maybe once in a blue moon, and they're going to be loose TBRs because I can't stick to like I'm going to read this book, then this book, then this book, then this book. If I'm not in the mood for them, I'm not going to read them because I'm not going to force myself. That is a surefire way to get yourself into a reading slump, is forcing yourself to read a book. But yeah, I think I've rambled on enough for 2 questions. We're like 5 minutes into this video and we've only done 2 questions. So this is not going to be as quick a video as I thought it was going to be. So, moving on. Excuse me. Question 3. What are you most excited for about this channel? I'm mostly excited about just having a space to ramble on. I'm excited for the fact that I'm no longer going to be boring my friends about rambling on about whatever I'm reading or whatever I'm excited about, or like in terms of books, or going on about how many books I've just bought, or I'm also quite excited for just the chance to. I'm very much pushing myself out with my comfort zone. I'm as introverted and antisocial as you get at times. If you hear noises in the background, the cat's playing. So yeah, I'm hoping that I'll be able to become a lot more articulate, and just a lot more comfortable talking coherently about whatever I'm reading at the time. I do have a lot of friends who are readers, or I say a lot of friends. Most of my friends are readers, but we don't all necessarily read the same things. Our tastes will overlap a lot, but there's also a lot that we're like, yeah, I never want to pick that book up at all. So yeah, I'm mostly just excited to be here. I'm excited for the community. I'm on a couple of Discords and just chatting to people who are reading similar books or the same books at the same time is just, I'm finding really, really fun. I'm just excited to be here and be doing this. So the next question is, why do you read What? Why do you read Loving? I now need to go find a book called Loving so I can say I've read it. Why do you love reading? This is probably the answer that most of us give. It's escapism. You know, when the world is getting you down or just getting a bit much, which, let's face it, in recent years is a lot of the time, isn't it? Picking up a book lets me just escape from all of that and either let me see that, well, someone else is having a much harder time, or I get to go visit fairyland or go ride a dragon, or yeah. Reading also just really helps me relax. It's how I chill out. So yeah, if I've had like a really tense day at work, I will just make myself a cup of tea, snuggle into the corner of the sofa, prop my feet up either on the recliner or on the cat's poofy bed, and just curl into my book, put some music on, probably like classical or Scala or something, and just chill out and read my book and just unwind. Books are like how I stop and take a big deep breath and be like, and catch my breath. Yeah, and that's why I love reading. The next question is, what book or series got you into reading? I apologize for my stuffy nose again. I had to think about this one. So when I was really little, so like sort of like primary school age, I read quite a bit. I loved reading all the animal books, Animal Ark, Dolphin Diaries. I think I read like all of those. There was a vet series. There was like Kittens in the Attic, and I absolutely adored those. But then I got into sort of like early high school years, and I didn't really read that much. I think because we were reading more in English and I really wasn't enjoying what we were reading, I kind of lost my love of reading. But then when I was about, I think I just turned 14, we moved house. We moved we moved to the middle of the country, to like half an hour walk to a nearest bus stop to get into town things. And I think I must have just really been annoying my mom. I'm bored. So she handed me a David Eddings. I think she handed me Pawn of Prophecy. But what I can tell you is that I read the Bulgariad, the Malorian, the Elenium, and the Tamuli, pretty much back to back. So I can't remember if it was Pawn of Prophecy or the Diamond Throne. So I picked up Pawn of Prophecy to show you guys. But I'm fairly certain this is the first one. But if we're going to say an author, it was probably Eddings. You were probably expecting me to say Hobb, but she came afterwards. I have read this series so many times now. This is a series that all four of us in my family, like my parents and my brother, we've all read this multiple times. We randomly quote this to each other at times. It's one of the few books that we all agree on, or the few series that we all agree on. Absolutely brilliant. Borders YA. You go into the bookshop, sometimes you're going to find it in the YA section. A lot of the times you'll just find it in the fantasy section. Really can be read by pretty much all ages, I think. Maybe not like very, very little ones, but yeah, teen and up. And it's just going to stick with you, and it's just a book everyone can read. Love this book. That series. After that series, I then read Magician. And this basically, I've read this one multiple times now as well. I actually really love this copy. It's just this beautiful shiny gold that I did happen to get signed when I met him. It was such a good day. Such a brilliant day. But yeah, after I read this, that sort of like cemented that actually, yeah, this fantasy thing, this is really good. And these two combined just sort of like, I don't know, they flicked a switch in me or something, and so that I was reading everything I could get my hands on. Thankfully, my mum had a really brilliant collection of books, particularly fantasy books, that just, so yeah, for the next couple of years, I was just, every couple of days or like every couple of weeks, you know, I'd be tumbling into her bedroom where she kept her books and be like, what can I borrow next? So yeah. So what was this? What series got me into reading? These are the two series that got me into reading, with extra thanks for going to my mum for handing me these. I know she did it to shut me up. It worked a lot better than she thought. So our next question is, what question would you ask your favourite booktuber? I'm not really sure. If I had any questions I wanted to ask them, it'd probably be related to whatever content they've just produced, and I would just drop it in the comments. I guess as a general question to any booktuber, how do you keep yourself motivated to edit? There's one thing I don't dislike editing, but I don't love editing. It's why I try to shoot a lot of my videos in one shot. And you don't get a lot of editing in between unless it's a vlog that's multiple videos popped together. I don't know, I find like I don't dislike hearing my voice as much as I thought I would. I definitely don't sound how I thought I would, but I don't sound as annoying as I thought I would. But I don't like it either. So yeah, how do you keep yourself motivated to just do the best editing job you can? I get a little bored halfway through. That's a terrible thing to admit, isn't it? But there you go. How do you keep yourself motivated for editing? The next question is, what challenges will be hardest to overcome? I think the biggest challenge will just be, I don't know, it's all quite challenging, isn't it? But in a good way. I think the biggest challenge will be to not, well, almost like to rein myself in a little bit, to not, and I think I've done a fairly good job so far, but like there's so many videos that I want to produce and I want to make, and so many books that I want to talk about, that I think the best thing I can do for myself, and as hard as it is to make sure that I'm not producing too much too quickly. Like, I could probably at this point film a different video every day and give you a different video every day, but then I think I would exhaust myself, and I think if I did too much, it's burnout. I biggest challenge is to avoid burnout. So I just want to keep myself sort of like slow, relatively consistent. I I'm not going to hold myself to a definitive schedule. I think every Friday morning, mostly mornings, depending on what my work shift is, you'll get my wee weekly wrap up. But other than that, I mean, I'm aiming for sort of like a Monday and a Friday, but I'm not holding myself to that consistency, because if something happens on a Monday, like if I'm on an early shift, work goes tits up and the world falls apart, then I'm not going to like beat myself up for, oh my god, I was late with a video. I know consistency is very good in YouTube, and in Booktube, but I also don't think that any subscribers or viewers are going to be, you know, desperate and relying on my videos coming out. I don't think that's going to be the case. So yeah, the biggest challenge is to not go too full steam ahead and not give too much too soon, and just sort of like keep nice and steady, make sure that I'm still enjoying this. Yeah, yeah. Next question is, when did I start reading? So I think I've kind of already answered that. So I read a lot when I was really little, didn't read much, and then sort of like when I was about 14, 15 is when I really started getting into like what I'm currently reading. Not necessarily what I'm currently reading, but it's when I really, really started. That's when you found me with like a book every week in my hands every weekend, or like I've now progressed to the point where it's like I can't even go to a wedding without a book. True story. But in my defense, for one of those weddings, the bride also took a book, so um, but yeah, when I was about 14, let's say that. The next question, is our second to last question, is where do I read? Wherever I can. No, my favorite place to read is snuggled up in one of the corners of the sofa, music on low, usually with a blanket beside me. Because that means I'm relaxing and it's nice, and I can sit and read for hours, days on end at that point. Sorry, apologies. I'm trying not to sniff too much. But yeah, if I'm at work and it's lunchtime, then I don't read too much at work, but if there's not much chat going on and there's nothing entertaining me on my phone, I will pick up my book. I always have a book on hand just in case. If I'm going to visit friends down south, I live up in the Highlands a lot. A number of my friends are down in the Central Belt. I could drive, and when I do drive, that's when I'll listen to an audiobook, or if I take the train, I quite like taking the train, because that's a couple of hours of reading time solid just there. But yeah, I'll read wherever I can, whenever I can, really. Yeah. And last question is, what kind of books do you like reading? Well, we're sitting in front of my bookshelves. You can see some of my books, which will give you a rough idea. I want to say my bread and butter is fantasy. It's definitely what I've read the most of, although recently I've been in a slight contemporary kick, but I think I'm just on the tail end of that. So yeah, I read a wee bit of contemporary. Not a massive amount. There's not as much escapism in contemporary. It's far too close to real life, so it has to be a really good one, or just like a really interesting one. That said, I also read a fair amount of fluffy romance, because that in itself is just escapism, isn't it? No one's life goes as well and wraps up as neatly in those happy endings as it does. I read a fair bit of historical, again, predominantly romance. I'm starting to read a bit more sci-fi. I will give anything a chance as long as it's not horror, a thriller, or crime. Horror, thriller, and crime are what I don't read. That's probably it's definitely easier to answer what do I not read as opposed to what do I read. Yeah. Yeah, that's me. So, wrapping this up at just under 20 minutes. Woo! Probably about the 20-minute mark, give or take. So yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this. I hope you've learned a little bit more about me and what you can expect going forward from me. And yeah, I hope you guys stick around, because I'm having a lot of fun, and I really hope you guys are having some fun. If anyone has any suggestions for any videos they want me to make, or any books they want me to chat about, whether I've read them or not, I'll definitely at least consider giving them a read if I haven't read them. And yeah, in the meantime, hit the like button if you... That's the like button down there. Not over there, down there. Yeah, hit that like button if you've liked this, hit subscribe if you fancy, and I will hopefully see you in the next video. Bye!